What's up, guys? We're gonna roll beats. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make some 808s using parallel processing. All right, so let's just hop right into it. If you guys have not subbed already, make sure that sub button because it does help me out a lot. All right, so first thing you want to do now, so this is the setup. All right, so the first thing that you want to do is just grab you an 808 sample. All right, you can create one or you can just use one that you have. I'm gonna just use one that I have. All right, we can just go in here and this is a pretty typical 808 sample here. So we got our sample. All right, and basically all we're gonna do is just click this so it plays. Okay, so now here's the setup. This is how you actually set up. Now this is important. I'm gonna go slow. We're gonna name everything and color code everything. So the first one here, all right, is your sample. So we can name this either 808 or sample. I usually name it sample. I can't see my keyboard. There we go. All right, and then we want to color this. I just colored this like bluish, okay? And then we want to route our 808 to this, okay? Second one, we want to name this FX1. FX1, and then I usually make this like green, and then same thing here, FX2, and I but color this one green. All right, and then the last part is the glue. So this is pretty much bringing everything together into one, and we're just gonna name this glue. And I just make this one like reddish. All right, just because so it'll stand out. All right, so that is the first step to the setup. Now, the confusing part is this part. So what you want to do for these three, the blue and green, you see this right here, how it's routing to the master. You want to unroute it. So how we do that is we go down, go over, click this arrow, boom. Same thing for this one. Same things for this one. And you can save this as a template after you do this. So now what you want to do, we do not do it for the glue because we need the glue to go to the master. So what we want to do now is go down to this arrow, and then we want to route our 808 to every single one. So you just click this arrow once, boom, boom, and boom. Okay, now FX1, we're not going to do the same thing here. We're just going to route this to the glue, boom. FX2, we just route this to the glue, boom. All right, so that is how you actually set that up. Okay, so now we're gonna start manipulating it and adding effects to it. Hopefully the routing wasn't too difficult. If you need to watch it over again, go ahead. So for the first effect, well, basically I'm gonna show you what I use and what I put on this, okay? So, but you can use whatever you want. You can use reverb, delay, whatever, okay? So first thing that I do is kind of turn these down a bit just to start. Now, if you need to turn them up later, you can. So the first plugin that I'm gonna use is a new plugin in the newest update, which is Destructor. Now this is pretty much an all-in-one, and that's why I use it because it's just easier to use. But I'm gonna only use it once. So let's click here. And then you got all these effects. Now speaker, this is pretty much just widen your 808. You got chorus and filter. You should know what those do, but we're gonna turn those off. And I just want the distortion. They have all types of distortion here. You can experiment with, but the one that I use is actually Sign Crush, and I just like how unique it makes it sound. All right, so what I like to do is put this asymmetry over to the left a little bit. Doesn't need to be a lot, and you can just mess with the preamp. And this preamp is just gonna kind of mix it in. And I like the way that sounds. All right. And then again, you can adjust the volume of that, and you can even pan them if you want to separate the effects and make it sound a little bit more unique. All right, so FX2. So now we're just gonna put two other plugins on, and the ones that I like to use are Wave Shaper. Move this over. So let's just do this one first. So I usually leave this one down. I don't mess with this too much because I usually, when you have to put it around somewhere right here to get it to work. And this can really mess up your 808 or make it too big. So you might want to just, yeah, turn this down. You can see how already that's super loud, and we have it at what, -9 dB. But you might like that, so do what you want to do. Okay, so that's pretty good for me. All right, I like that. So now we're gonna put another one on, and this is basically gonna widen the 808 a little bit. So we're gonna go to Fruity Flangus. Okay, we can put this right here. So with this, I don't touch it too much. All I do is turn the wetness down a bit because it's gonna sound like it's auto panning, and I don't like that sound. So I just turn it down until it kind of sounds like it's in the middle. All right, so I like that. Okay, so now let's go on to the glue. So once you got all your effects down, everything how you like it, now all you're gonna do is use the simple Fruity compressor. Now the reason you use this, you probably like, oh, why don't you use limiter? Why don't you use this? Because these, even Maximus, it alters the original sound. Like it'll lose a little bit of quality, and maybe that's just the default preset, but for workflow purposes, I just use Fruity compressor. It's easy. All right, and you can save all the presets here so you don't have to do this again, or you can save this whole thing as a template so you can just load this up when you want to do some parallel processing. So how to set this up is, first thing, I put this ratio to 2. Okay, and then I put this attack to 0, and then for the threshold, I always put this at like -1. Sometimes it doesn't go to -1, but that's fine. So just try to get as close as possible. All right, so boom, it's done there. All right, so now we're gonna move on to actually rendering and the settings. All right, so now all we're gonna do is just render things out, and I'm gonna show you some settings that you can use if you run into any issues. So first thing you want to do is always go to the very bottom of this glue mixer, and I go to slot 10, and then you go to Edison. Okay, now you can use other ones. I just use Edison because it's just easier to use. So before I even start to record my 808, I go here, I right click this number up here, the sample rate, and if this is your sample rate for your DAW, just leave it there. You should be fine, but mine is 48K. Okay, so I want to make sure everything's high quality. And then you can title things, so you can title it whatever you want, whatever the name of your drum kit is. All right, subscribe. File name, this is the name of your 808. And it doesn't have to be an 808, it can be any drum sound or whatever. You just name it PHAT or something. So now you accept, and you'll see those changes, okay? And then you can see it says subscribe. So from here, we just want to record it. So we're gonna press, make sure it's on input. So you got on play, input, on input. Now go to on input. Make sure this record button is on and just play it. Okay, so I'm glad this happened. So if this does happen, all you have to do is drag from the front and then kind of place it here, or the cutout, wherever this transient is, and then just delete. Press the delete button and it'll delete it. All right, so if that didn't happen and your 808 is just all dragged out, all you have to do is click, and yours probably doesn't look like this, like your menu, but you want to click trim side noise / gate noise, and it's going to trim it. Okay, now you have your 808, and okay, so now here's some settings that you can use. Just go to tools, and these two I just use because I used them once and it sounded really good, so I use it on every single one, but you do not need these two. So I use center. I don't even think that does anything, but like I said, I just use it. And then lossy normalize. Okay, you can see like the frequencies boost just a little bit. All right, So the last one that you need, if you use FL Studio, you need to do this unless you want some weak 808s. You want to go to amp, okay? And you want to put it somewhere between 4% and 8%. Depending on how loud you want your 808, you can put it higher or whatever, but I just usually put like 5% ish. Okay. And this setting saves so you don't have to do it again. And basically what it's going to do is boost all the frequencies and just make it louder, because when you render out samples in FL Studio, I'm not sure if anyone notices, but they sound a little bit weaker, or they just lose a little bit of quality. So the reason you're boosting them is because when it reduces it, it'll just basically just reduce all the quality back to the original volume or whatever, right? So we'll accept it and you'll see all these frequencies boost, right? And then when it loses quality, it'll go back to the original. Okay, so now we actually gonna save it. Now you can press this file, save sample as 24-bit wave file, boom, and then you can save it. And there you go, you have your 808. All right, so that is how you make some 808s with parallel processing. Hopefully the video was helpful. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.